It was supposed to be just a game, but the night I played hide and seek for the last time, something else started playing with us. My name's Alex, I was 17 back then, living in a small town in Pennsylvania. A quiet place where nothing ever really happens. At least that's what I used to think. It was a Saturday night in October. That perfect kind of cold where your breath turns white and everything feels still. My best friend Tyler had convinced a few of us to crash at his uncle's cabin near the woods. There was no Wi-Fi, barely any signal, just an old wooden house, surrounded by trees that looked black after sunset. We got there around 8 p.m. Me, Tyler, his girlfriend, Emma, my cousin Nate, and Lily, a girl I'd secretly liked for months. We had pizza, joked around, played music. It was one of those nights that felt like nothing could go wrong. Around midnight, when the power flickered for the first time, Tyler laughed and said, "Let's play hide and seek. In the dark." We all groaned at first, but he grinned, holding a small flashlight under his chin like a campfire villain. "Come on, it'll be fun," he said. And somehow, it sounded like it would be. He grabbed a flashlight, set a timer on his phone, and started counting. 1, 2, 3. I ran down the hallway, past the living room, and into a small storage room that smelled like old paint and dust. There was a big wardrobe inside. One of those tall, creaky ones that looked older than the house itself. I opened it and slipped in, closing the door gently behind me. It was pitch black inside. I could hear the faint ticking of a clock somewhere outside, mixed with Tyler's muffled voice counting. For the first few minutes, it was just silence. Then the house settled, that slow groaning of old wood that makes you feel like someone's moving even when they're not. I held my breath, trying to stay perfectly still. I could hear footsteps, now, slow, careful ones. Tyler was searching. The footsteps stopped near my door. Then, a whisper. "I found you." I froze. That wasn't Tyler's voice. It was too deep, too slow. The door creaked slightly, just an inch. I could see a faint light, the flashlight beam shaking slightly, cutting through the darkness. Then it turned away, and the footsteps walked off. I waited another minute before opening the wardrobe door. The hallway was empty. That's when I realized something weird. The light switch outside was still off, but the entire corridor was faintly lit by some kind of bluish glow, like moonlight through fog. "Guys," I called softly. No answer. I started walking toward the living room when I saw someone standing at the far end of the hallway. A tall figure, completely still, face hidden in shadow. "Tyler?" I asked. The figure didn't move. Then it turned its head slightly. The sound of bone cracking, slow and unnatural, and whispered, "You're not hiding anymore." My stomach dropped. I turned and ran. I sprinted back into the living room, gasping. Everyone was sitting there, laughing, with flashlights. Tyler was holding a beer. "What the hell, man?" I shouted. They all stared at me. "Bro, what's wrong?" Tyler said. "We just started the second round. You didn't even hide." My throat went dry. "What?" "You came down the hallway," I said. "You found me." Tyler frowned. "No. I've been here the whole time. We were deciding who's next." I looked around. Everyone was there. Everyone except whoever whispered to me. I didn't sleep that night. But the next day, when we got back home, I convinced myself it was my imagination. That's what the brain does. It tries to make sense of fear. 2 weeks later, I was sitting in my room around midnight. My mom was asleep, and the house was quiet. Then I heard it. A knock. Not on the door, from inside my closet. At first, I thought it was a mouse or something. But then I heard it. A whisper, muffled through the wood. "Found you." I froze. Slowly, I got up, turned on the light, and opened the closet door. Nothing. Just clothes. But on the inside wall of the closet, someone had drawn something, a small circle with a triangle inside it, and right under it, a word scratched in pencil. "Hide." I erased it, thinking maybe it was Nate trying to mess with me earlier. But over the next few days, it started happening again. Every night, around the same time, that knock, that whisper. Sometimes it came from the wall, sometimes from under my bed. Once, from the vent above my desk, and every time, I'd hear the same phrase. "Found you." I started avoiding sleep. My grades dropped. My mom thought I was losing it. Then one night Tyler texted me, "Bro, something weird happened." He sent a picture on his bedroom wall. Someone had written in what looked like charcoal, "Your turn." The next morning, he didn't show up to school. When I called him, his mom answered, crying. Tyler had disappeared during the night. His bed was empty, his window open. The only thing they found was a set of footprints in the dirt outside, bare footprints, leading into the woods. 2 days later, Emma stopped answering messages too. Then Nate. One by one, everyone who played that game vanished. Lily was the last one. She called me at 3 a.m., whispering so fast I could barely understand her. She said she saw something in her mirror, a shape, crouching behind her. She said it whispered my name. Then the call cut off. I didn't see her again. After that, I left town. I moved to a new place, changed my number, tried to forget. But it doesn't stop. Every few months, the knocking comes back. Sometimes in my closet, sometimes in the walls of hotel rooms I stay in. And the voice. It's getting bolder. Last night, I was half asleep when I heard footsteps in my room. I didn't open my eyes. I couldn't. Then something leaned close to my ear and whispered, just like that first night, "You're it." I've always loved children. That's why I became a babysitter. But after what happened that night, I can't even walk past a child's playground without feeling sick. My name is Rachel. I was 19, living in Vermont, working part-time as a babysitter while saving up for college. The family I worked for, the Collins, lived in an old, beautiful house at the edge of town. 2 floors, wide windows, and a huge backyard surrounded by forest. They had one kid, a sweet 6-year-old girl named Lily. She was quiet, polite, and always smiling, though sometimes she stared at things that weren't there. It was late October. Chilly, the kind of night when the wind sounds like whispering. Mr. and Mrs. Collins were going to a late dinner, so I was supposed to watch Lily until midnight. When I arrived, Lily was sitting on the living room floor, surrounded by her toys. She looked up at me and said softly, "Can we play a game tonight?" "Sure," I said. "What game?" Her smile widened. "Hide and seek." I laughed. "Okay, but only one round before bed." She nodded eagerly, her little braids bouncing as she ran to hide. I turned to face the wall and started counting. 1, 2, 3. By the time I reached 20, the house had gone quiet. I smiled, picked up my phone for light, and started searching. The kitchen empty. The hallway empty. "Lily?" I called, giggling a bit. "You're good at this." No answer. I checked under the tables, behind the curtains. Still nothing. Finally, I went upstairs. The air was colder there, heavy. The lights flickered once as I reached the landing. The first door on the left was slightly open. Lily's bedroom. I pushed it gently. "Lily, I know you're in here." Her closet door was half open. I knelt and peeked inside toys, dresses, a few boxers. No Lily. But as I was about to stand up, I heard a giggle. Soft, behind me. I turned, but the room was empty. Then I heard her voice. "Found you." It came from the hallway. I laughed, relieved. "Okay, you scared me." Primera stepped out, but the hallway was dark, empty. "Lily?" I called again. No response. That's when I noticed something strange. Small, wet footprints on the wooden floor, leading toward the stairs. They were too small to be mine, and they stopped halfway down the steps. Just stopped, like she disappeared mid. My phone flashlight flickered and died. The house fell silent, except for the ticking of a clock somewhere below. Then I heard it again. That same giggle, but this time, it came from the basement. The basement door was closed when I came, but now it was slightly open, a dark crack between the frame and the door. I swallowed hard. "Lily, you're not supposed to go down there." No answer. I stepped closer, each creak of the floor sounding too loud. The smell changed damp, musty air spilling from below. I opened the door and looked down. The stairs disappeared into darkness. "Lily, this isn't funny," I said, forcing a shaky laugh. Then, faintly from below, I heard her whisper, "Come find me." My heart dropped. Holding my phone like a weapon, I started down. Every step groaned under my feet. The deeper I went, the colder it got, freezing cold, like walking into a cellar of ice. When I reached the bottom, I called her name again. "Lily," my voice echoed, but something answered back. A whisper, "Found you." Then the light from my phone blinked on, just for a second, and I saw her. Lily, standing in the far corner, facing the wall. Her head was tilted at an odd angle, her hands pressed flat against the bricks. "Lily," I said softly. "Honey, what are you doing?" She didn't move. I took a cautious step closer. My heart was hammering so hard it hurt. "Sweetie, it's late." "Let's then." She turned. Her face was pale, almost gray, and her eyes were all black. I screamed, stumbled back, and dropped my phone. The screen cracked, but the flashlight stayed on, rolling across the floor. The beam hit the far wall, and that's when I saw them. Hands, small, gray hands, dozens of them, pressing out of the wall like something underneath was trying to crawl through. Whispers filled the room, hundreds of tiny voices, all saying the same words. "Ober and Ober, do you want to play?" I ran. I don't even remember getting up the stairs. I just remember slamming the basement door, locking it, and backing away until I hit the wall. Then I heard it again, knocking from inside. 3 slow knocks. And Lily's voice, "Don't hide." When Mr. and Mrs. Collins came home an hour later, I was sitting in the hallway, shaking, staring at the door. They asked where Lily was. I pointed to the basement. Mr. Collins ran down immediately, shouting her name. A few seconds later, he called back, confused. "She's asleep in her bed." I followed, trembling, and there she was, tucked under the blankets, breathing softly, like nothing ever happened. When they asked me what was wrong, I couldn't answer. I quit that job the next day. But the next morning, Mrs. Collins called me, her voice trembling. She said Lily wouldn't stop talking about her new friend. She said this friend lives in the walls and likes to play games. I tried to ignore it until last week, when I got a message from an unknown number. It was a photo of me, taken from my bedroom closet, and written across it, in a child's handwriting, "Your turn to hide." I never liked playing hide and seek. Even as a kid, the idea of hiding, holding my breath while someone searched for me, always made my stomach twist. But that night, I didn't have a choice. Because of that game, 5 people never came back. My name is Emily. I was 21, studying art at a small university in Oregon. My best friend Harper invited me and a few others to a family's old cabin deep in the woods near Pine Valley. It was supposed to be a weekend getaway. Movies, wine, and bad decisions. But by Sunday, everything changed. There were 6 of us. Me, Harper, her boyfriend, Ethan, a couple named Jess and Brandon, and a quiet guy named Luke Harper invited. The cabin was huge. 3 floors, smelling of pine and dust, frozen in time. That first night, around 1 a.m., Harper suggested we play hide and seek in the dark. She brought a candle lantern. I groaned, but agreed, thinking it would be harmless fun. Harper faced the wall and counted. 1, 2, 3. We skated. I went upstairs to the attic. Dusty, cramped, perfect for hiding. I crouched behind storage trunks, holding my breath. Minutes passed. I heard footsteps. Careful, soft, but not anyone I knew. Then a whisper, "Don't move." I froze. It was too close, almost breathing on me. Fingers brushed my hair. Icy, bony fingers. I screamed, but the attic was empty. I ran downstairs, heart pounding, and ran straight into Harper. "Someone's up there!" I gasped. She frowned. "No one's up there. We're all downstairs." A loud bang came from the attic floor, written in dust, in long, uneven letters. "Who's still hiding?" That night, I couldn't sleep. At 3 a.m., footsteps echoed in the hallway. A voice whispered, "Found you." The doorknob turned. "Primera escreamed." Others rushed out, hallway empty. Next morning, Jess was gone. Her phone was still charging. Brandon discovered her bracelet hanging on the front door handle, with a strip of paper, "Not done hiding." That night, total darkness. Footsteps upstairs, soft laughter echoing. Harper whispered, "It's Jess." But when Ethan called her name, the laughter stopped. Then the whisper from the hallway, "Your turn." Something moved in the dark fast. Ethan screamed. Lantern flickered. I saw him being dragged by something pale and thin, crawling on all 4s, face stretched, eyeless. Brandon grabbed Harper and me. "We're leaving." We ran through the trees, freezing wind cutting our skin. Harper tripped, disappeared. Brandon found spare keys. We drove away, never speaking. Police searched the cabin days later. No one was found. Just small, barefoot footprints in circles around the cabin. Brandon couldn't cope. He killed himself a week later. I moved away, tried to start over. 5 years later, I received a package. No return address. Inside, the candle lantern. Tied to it, a note. You never finished the game.